Welcome, everyone, to episode 97 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We're your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson, brought to you by the beautiful people at EJ Cards. And they have a trading day on today. Is it today?
Today.
It's on today, and we just might be moseying on down there.
Absolutely.
We'll do our best to. I think we're on the run sheet. We're the special guest. We're one of the people making it.
It's quite a packed little list, isn't it?
It is. It's so we've got. I'll just read from the beautiful pamphlet that's up on the socials. July trade day, July 30th, 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. Shop 3, 2 to 4 Whitehorse Road in Blackburn. There will be free drinks and snacks all day.
Delicious.
The return of Carson's Pokemon Mega Mystery Box. NBA Mystery Boxes, special guest appearances from You Can't Comp This. Was it? Gogi Collectibles and the Chamberlain.
Yep.
Oh, and Nidovan.
I was struggling pronouncing that one last week, so I'm glad you got that one out.
Yeah. So there's going to be a few people down there. Now, I have, because this is now a little favorite section of mine about the trade days. They've got a designated kids trading zone. I don't have any kids myself to trade, but it will be staff supervised.
It's like I'm never preloaded dad joke, that one, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. This is like every time the kids trading zone is there, I'm ready to help facilitate making some kid trades. But anyway.
Enough of the jokes. On with the show. Hey,
enough of the jokes. On with the show. We've got some listener questions today, I think.
So just a really casual show today, just all Q&A. So hopefully we'll just bang this out, and not too many segues. Hey,
not too many segues. I like it. It's funny. So there was no more jokes. Oh boy! All right, what have we got? What have we got in the You Can't Comp This group? Let's catch me up.
Right.
Oh look, Russell Gibson's written into the show. There's been an eBay post. I actually want to talk about this eBay thing.
Yeah, go.
Can we start it off with the eBay? Typically, we do not leave feedback unless requested by customers, as we deal with such a large volume of orders. We are very sorry for the inconvenience. What?
Yeah. So I try and do my best to leave feedback on objects that I, buy and sell on eBay.
Which is fair.
As I'm leaving feedback, I will look to see if they've left feedback for me. And they've actually changed it recently to make it a little bit more difficult, but you can still check it.
Yeah.
Then if they haven't, I just send them a copy and pasted message. I paid quickly. I left you 5 stars. Leave me feedback. And then this guy didn't reply for however long, and then
rather than writing feedback, he wrote you a message, saying that he wouldn't leave feedback because he was too busy.
Well, that was his third message, but who's counting?
Third message. Just leave the feedback.
I think some people don't leave feedback because they wait for the other person to leave feedback first. So
true. Look, I understand that sort of process.
I think if someone pays immediately and you're the seller, like what else is there really to do in the transaction? Just like leave feedback.
Yeah.
That's
pay quickly. Yeah. Fair.
Whatever. Anyway.
Look, but that's the thing. The message says typically we don't leave feedback unless requested. You requested feedback.
Well, that is true. I mean, not to be argumentative here, but yes. I think you missed that small sort of irony in that, didn't he?
And just a little bit. It's quite amusing.
All right, actually, I've got my first segue, actually.
Oh, no.
Can we just step back 2 weeks now to talk about Tim from Slabstrong?
Yeah.
Because he was a very unique guest. What was your sort of... Because he has been on my mind a little bit since that show. What was your takeaway from all of that?
I had so much fun.
Yeah, interesting dude, right?
Very, very interesting dude. It's one of those sort of COVID good, like feel good stories, isn't it? Where someone sort of comes out with an idea, in the middle of in the midst of a lockdown, and yeah, it was really a sort of not so much rags to riches. Like he knows some big players in the hobby, but it's been very
It's a modified rags to riches, though. Like I think, and
yeah,
the other thing too is like
right
it's
place,
sort of
right
the
time, maybe.
yeah, and also the true American dream is that any person can make it big in America. I think that's the one that I sort of took away from
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
No, it was good. I had a fantastic time. It was good. We've kind of had a couple of good guests recently. It's been very sort of different from our normal sort of back and forth
yeah,
with the show and the run sheet. So
yeah, definitely.
I mean, it'd be nice when things go back to somewhat normal with product releases and things. But
I'm definitely looking forward to crunching some numbers again, but it also is definitely good to mix it up and
yeah,
yeah. All right,
yeah, no, lots of
let's
fun.
let's kick it off. James Gregory, this is from June 22nd, so this is from a while ago.
Yeah.
What's people's opinion on this? The eBay trading cards community is filled with dedicated enthusiasts and fans looking to buy and sell in this category. With the growing popularity of case, box, and pack breaks, we're taking steps to give sellers and buyers an opportunity to participate in these live events. Effective July 18, case box and pack breaks may only be sold by pre-approved sellers. I actually think we've spoken about this already, haven't we?
I
That's
think
okay.
we did we touch on it? Did we touch on this, or did
We can we can
you and
quickly
Lachlan
go
touch
through
on it?
this. Yeah. Any live auctions underway can be completed, but after July 18, you'll no longer be able to start new break listings.
I think you and Lachlan talked about this, and it was a big shout out to me wanting the hobby regulated.
This
And
is the whole regulate the hobby thing, isn't it? Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
steps, but I don't know if it's the right direction sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like I applaud their efforts. Is that the right? I don't know. It's yeah, it's still just it's limiting the market. I don't know if that's good or bad. Yeah, I don't know.
So my response to that is actually now I've had some time to think about this because I'm just
Yeah,
reading my response that I put it onto there.
yeah,
And I'm going to read some of this because I will
yeah,
defend eBay in this sense because they do continuously improve their product and
yeah.
also their processes, and you can't take that away from eBay.
Oh hell no.
They're very good at automating payment notifications and also postage notifications and processes. Like that is very slick now. That is very slick.
Very.
Definitely the improved seller protection has been a really big thing that they've implemented,
Yep.
in the last probably 4 or 5 months. And I think there's been a lot of success there. They've also implemented their own eBay tracking system, which I think a lot of people have criticized, but it's cheap and it tracks. So, you can't have everything. You can't have, cheap and good, that sort of.
Yeah, you don't want to get everyone wants the premium service, right? But a lot of people
Whether you
don't want to
pay
pay
for it,
for it.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
exactly.
separate like argument, isn't it? Right
Yeah. So
now, the
this is the
next one,
free eBay freemium.
yeah,
Yeah.
the next one I'm going to leave for a second, and I'm just going to put in my new thought, which I've just sort of come to had. But
Mm.
what if the verification process is not arduous, but does weed out 100 knuckleheads a year? Is that worth putting people through sort of a vetting process? And I would probably say the answer is yes. The other thing that I would say is more important, though, is also rating and
Mm.
measuring the current breakers that you have, similar to a
Yeah.
system that Uber has, right? So you give them a rating at the end of the thing, and if once they drop below a certain rating point, well, then actually they get removed from Uber. So I think that will be the type of thing that eBay
Yeah.
could
Okay.
also do that will be very effective. So yes, you're having problem with ongoing problems with these breakers, and I think that's the thing with Whatnot. It seems to me I'm not a Whatnot participant, but the constant feedback that I'm getting from that is like
Mm.
there's nothing on there that says you can scam people and then not be removed. And even if you are removed, it's temporary and then they're back again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. You're right. It's interesting. I think there are pros and cons, and I think it's a step in the right direction. That's the whole thing. And when I say regulate the hobby, there is so much in this hobby that goes unchecked, and I
yeah,
think eBay is
totally.
trying to do the right thing. And I think the idea of having ratings for breakers is fantastic. I don't know how that when you get. I always look at I try to play devil's advocate, but in a fair way. But if there are just disgruntled people, how it's very easy to ruin someone's breaking reputation. It's just
Yes, yes and no, I would say on that. So, for
Yeah.
example, AMT memorabilia, which is the one that I'm always, raving about, they've got
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of reviews and ratings, right? So even if
Mm.
you get some guy who's being malicious and giving them a single rating point that takes them down, I actually don't think it would.
Yeah.
They've got so many other rating points. I actually don't think it would affect them. And so that's the
Yeah.
other thing too about breaking. Like if you're getting 30 ratings per break, I think those would tick up pretty
Yeah.
quickly. So
Yeah, that's true.
you'd be able to weed people out. But again,
Would you run that through eBay? Would you run that or run that as an independent rating system that like as a breakers thing? Like is it so that say fanatics can when they take over can filter out and distinguish who to actually trust in the breaking
I think
industry? Like
in this instance, we're specifically talking about eBay, right? So I think
yeah.
actually, in a way, the process is already there, isn't it? So I
Yeah.
suppose that goes back to the previous thing we were just joking about. Then people actually need
Yeah.
to leave feedback, don't they?
Yeah, I was literally going to be like, okay,
Yeah.
someone leaves feedback, but because it's a break, do we have a separate category for breakers where you need to give them a rating in addition to your feedback?
I mean, I think this goes to a bit
Well,
of like
not postage. When
personality.
like you know how you rate stars and it goes, was the item received? What would you rate out of 5 stars? The quality, the postage cost. Like you can go into star ratings for your feedback
Yeah, I don't know
rather
how
than
that affects their overall number though, because I think if you give them less stars, but overall it's still like a positive transaction. I still
oh,
think,
I would have added a line for breakers,
yeah, okay,
breaker rating, break experience, whatever it is. Yeah.
yeah,
To sort of take it a step further. But
yeah, okay, yeah,
I don't know. But a step in the right direction either way.
yeah. James Gregory. Also, what do you think, guys, of Jeff Wilson, the sports card investor, and the USA Federal PPE loan scandal, and the idea that he's been using government loans from his marketing company to fund buying cards for his YouTube show? Look, what do I think about this? This is a criminal matter. This has got nothing
Yeah.
to say for me as a podcast
Yeah.
presenter. Do I think he should be doing this? I mean, does that really need to be answered? The guy's an idiot. What's he doing that for? Like, if you can't
Yeah.
afford stuff, don't steal to fund it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, geez,
Like
this is
that's straight up. Yeah.
this is not an ethics
Yeah.
show, is it?
I certainly hope not.
All right.
Oh
Do you
boy.
think the Heat can get the deal done for Damian Lillard? Looks like Portland doesn't want Hero in the deal, so it makes it tough. Adam, I'll put this one to you, mate.
Can I don't think Portland will get it done. I don't think Portland are in a rush because the thing is, right? So Lillard's their chip. He's the only piece they've really got, and if they sell him for cents on the dollar, what do they get? Like they get nothing. What's the point? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. They get a fresh start, which, to be honest, they should have done last year, and they would have had a better chance of getting Wembanyama. And I think that's, in my mind, actually, that's where they made the mistake. I don't
sure,
think trading Damian Lillard's a mistake, because I think if we're being realistic here, they're so far away from a championship that they're never going to do it with him and their current roster. That's just, for them to be saying that, to me, it's so disingenuous. So, I think he should be traded. Do I think that Portland will get the best trade from Miami? Well, probably not. You'd probably get the
mm,
best trade package from OKC because they've got 30 picks that they've got no
mm,
possibility of even putting onto a roster. That's just simple mathematics.
yeah,
The other team that's got a lot of assets at the moment is Orlando, but both of those teams aren't on the same timetable that Damian Lillard's on, so there's no point. Look, I think they have to do the right thing by Lillard. There's no reason to maliciously trade him to some NBA
well, where he's going to
purgatory.
be upset at another team. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what's the point? Yeah,
So, you remember a couple of years back, I actually remember talking about this on the show. He was lying, and I remember this video vividly. He was lying down on a trainer's table, and he was literally flirting with the LA Lakers, and that made sense at the time. That you know,
I remember that.
him with
I remember that.
LeBron, him with AD, like that's
Yeah,
a great threesome, and that makes sense. I still think Los Angeles makes sense, but again,
they
what
can't get
can
that
they?
deal done. They
What
can't. They can't. Now that they've made all their moves, they can't get it done. I
it
don't
would
think.
have to be like D'Angelo Russell and something else, but then they would have to then replace those guys with, minimum guys or two-way contracts. Like that will be.
And I think the Lakers have done too well to build the roster that they have in the off season.
So that's $1 into the Lakers swear jar too. We had an Instagram
Damn it.
message about that. So you're already $1 down, mate. I kind of set you up for that.
How do I get that dollar back?
You don't. It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. Wow.
But to answer your question, Martin, I think they can, because I still think they'll look after Lillard in the way that they'll trade into the team he wants. And I actually think they've got enough trade pieces to get something done. Yeah.
All right. So I have a little thought about this. Just come to mind. Do they get a third team involved?
That has also been thrown out a little bit too, because that would help facilitate, more salary, but then also too is the draft equity. Because I think that to me seems like the biggest thing that's holding it up at the moment is just getting that extra
couple of picks,
one or two.
Yeah. Yep.
Scott
Interesting.
Eldridge, what is your favorite card of your PC?
Hang on. Am I going to owe $1?
Yes. This is also setting you up. This is going to be a very expensive episode.
It's going to be a very expensive episode. We're not listening to the listeners anymore. Bugger this. No. I'm trying to. No. Let's think. Nah. I'll keep thinking.
Is it that difficult for you?
No. I'm trying to think of something that's not going to cost me $1. Favorite card in my PC would definitely be one of my Kobe's. So yes, I do owe $1 to the Lakers swear jar.
That's okay. Can you be specific? Which is your favorite?
Yes, I can. It's where is it? The National Treasures jersey logo auto. You've seen the card. It's I think it's 2010. I think it 2010 or 2012. I can't remember. But it's it's numbered to 10, BGS 9.5. On jersey auto, it's one of those manufactured patches, but it's an NBA logo patch.
Yeah, cool.
And it looks amazing. So yeah, that as well as probably the Hometown Heroes Kobe auto I've got, and the closing statements from Grand Reserve, which is the Kobe's final game.
Okay,
that's $3, 3 cards.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
If you had to pick one, what is the one? Is that the first one?
The first one, yeah, the first one. But the other two sort of come in. I mean, I've got novelty cards that I do enjoy, but But yeah, obviously the Kobe's hold a special place.
So I think my answer is going to shock you, because I actually thought a lot about this before I answered, and I'm going to say my Bill Russell flawless auto, because my initial thought was a De'Aaron Fox, and I have to admit, I'm going to do an honorable mention for this, but I'll tell you why it's my Bill Russell, because I always liked the mythology of Bill Russell that I had in my head from as a child, because I knew how many championships he won, and I didn't understand all of the I'm not sure if I'm saying this the right way, but the black rights works that he did to help empower and liberate his people. Please apologize if I'm saying this. I apologize if I'm saying it the wrong way. I think I understood that as a child, but I think as I got older, I understood it maybe with a little bit more better understanding. And then I think as I sort of learned more about the Boston Celtics and what he did, and then they did that Netflix documentary.
The Netflix documentary put things in perspective a lot.
And then with him passing away, like all of those things sort of, packed in together. Like it's just something that I've got, and I'm just so glad I have that.
Yeah.
And then my honorable mention is I bought a NT RPA of De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
And to make that happen, I had to move a lot of different cards around. I very reluctantly sold a bunch of stuff, and then and people are like, "Oh, what would you like for your birthday, or what would you like for Christmas?" I was like, "Well, actually, I'm putting away for this." So a lot of different people put in for it. I sold a lot of different things, so that was probably my most memorable card in terms of getting. But my favorite card, I think, is my Bill Russell. So, yeah.
I love it. And that's what we've talked about on many episodes, is the story behind the card. Yeah. It's that's a beautiful story.
Name your top 3 Panini insert sets that you can purchase with pocket change. That is from friend of the show, Carl Morey.
Oh, insert Panini, any Panini insert set.
Yeah.
You can purchase with pocket change. So we can't say kaboom because we
Well,
can't.
I mean, it's an insert set, but technically not pocket change. So
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say we don't hit it on the pocket change, not unless
yeah,
we're John O'Michaels.
yeah.
Um,
Who walks around with $1,000 bills in his
that,
pocket? Obviously,
that's
yeah,
it. That's
yeah.
it. I might defer to yourself for the
All right.
first.
This one actually for me is quite easy.
Yeah.
So, Jam Masters was the first set that I became, dare I say, obsessed with.
Mm.
And I value that set more than anyone else on the planet. So I can pretty much tell you I've made some incredibly bad purchases in that space, but
Yep.
I have no regrets. The other set that actually I'm collecting at the moment is from Prism 2122.
Yeah.
Is the 75 years of NBA, which my
Yeah.
lighting here is terrible, but I've got one on my desk here. So,
Yep.
and the reason I like this is because the checklist is varied and it has, players from the 90s. It also has the old school dudes like, Larry Bird, Bill Russell,
Yeah.
Shaq,
Yeah.
et al. And then it's got the modern guys, current rookies and, current stars. But the
Yep.
kicker is they put it in Prism Optics Select and Mosaic. So then you have to chase the same set across 4 different products. It's wild.
That is really, yeah, that's cool. I like
Yeah.
that. Like it's like, so you can't pull it's only select numbers for each set, is it?
Well, you can get optics in Prism, and then I think there was select in Mosaic or vice versa. So how they did it, don't actually ask me. But
Yeah. Mind
you
blown.
know, with the way aftermarket is now, it doesn't really matter, does it? Like you go to eBay or
No, no,
Concede, you
exactly.
just pick them up for a couple of bucks or whatever. So it's sort of a moot point. But anyway, it's a cool little thing. And then the third one, I might say a weird one. I might say the Men of Mastery set that again came out of Mosaic. I am a sucker for Mosaic, but that's a very, if you like international players, which I do have a soft spot for,
Yeah.
that's a good little set to get your head around, and it really does pay homage to some of these boys that would never have, really got an insert set otherwise. So yeah,
Mm,
I quite
mm.
like that one.
God, I was going to say pocket change insert sets, not my forte.
That's okay.
I do like some of the actual Prism stuff that you know how you used to get in the, well, even in the retail release, you get them like the emergent set and like just the things that mix up in Prism. So it's sort of shortcutting all three coming from that. But I do like some of the sets they've come up with over the years.
Yeah.
Is it like fireworks, the emergent, the what's the oh god, they had the old white hot, red hot.
I think their creative departments have been very liberal with what they've given a green light to. And
Yeah,
that can, lead to epic failures, but it can also lead to,
yeah,
Jam Masters, which was,
yeah,
absolutely incredible. I think
yeah.
the other one we have, not that this is particularly pocket change, but if we're giving them some credit, was the Net Marvels. That was the one that
Net
really,
Marvels, that was going to be, and the slam covers, like things like that.
yeah.
They're cool ideas.
Actually, that's probably one you could save for your pocket change because those
Yeah,
slam
yeah. The
cards,
slam covers are not.
they
Yeah,
were expensive at sort of release time, but they've come right down. Some of
yeah,
those were $10 and $20 cards. I reckon you could get those for sub $10 now. Most of those.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There we go. So the slam cards, obviously, yeah, as you said,
yeah.
the
You
net
named
marbles.
three. That's
I'm sure I've named a lot,
that's enough.
and we
James
didn't
Mann.
segue.
No, barely. James Mann. If Fanatics has the exclusive license for Wemby, do you think that hurts the hobby that Panini won't have NBA licensed products of Wemby with rookie cards, autos, or RPAs? Should Fanatics license their auto to Panini? Adam, would you like to start us off with that one?
I think there needs to be a universal autograph system because this is so annoying. This is just it's getting so old.
It's getting fragmented, isn't it? And it's getting more
Yep.
fragmented as it's like Upper Deck, Panini, and now Fanatics. I agree with that, definitely.
And then you know what's going to happen? Someone's going to be like, I'm going to go with an independent group that have never done autographs before, but I'm exclusively signing for them. And you're like,
Yeah,
good on
like
you.
Leaf
Like,
or something like that, which some of them do that. And and
sure.
and so the other relevant example of that too is Tyson Beck, right? Aussie
Yeah.
boy, contracts
Yeah.
these guys, gets private contracts with them, and then produces his own stuff. So that is
Mm,
actually not an impossible thing or,
That's
unheard
true.
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me to answer this question specifically, yeah, I do think it does hurt the hobby because we aren't going to have
Yeah.
flawless autographs. We're not going to have, RPAs, blah, blah, blah. So yes, of course, I think it does. But let's just stop and think about this for a second. So what's the most recent example of this? And it's Ben Simmons. So he didn't sign with Panini. He had signed with Upper Deck, right?
Yeah.
So what did collectors do in that space? And this is Neb, we can say friend of the show.
Yeah.
Neb, if I say his name properly, Selga backwards Aglis. Neb Aglis's whole opinion on this was that Ben Simmons created the craze of silver prisms because there was no autographs to chase of Ben Simmons. So collectors then put their money into something else that was, and I'm using air quotes now, collectible, right? So the
Yeah.
exact same thing is going to happen now. So the chase cards that we were probably putting our money into is just going to be different for this coming product year.
Yeah.
Or does that push up Scoot sky high? Does it push up Bowman University sky high? So some of that Bowman University Wemby stuff that's coming out at the moment, that is selling for
Yeah.
crazy money, $10,000, $20,000, right? So
That's insane, right?
is this going to be the exception of the rule where traditionally the university products really sell like, I'm saying this politically correctly, SHIP?
Yep.
So this year, actually, is it going to sell very strongly? And then the aftermarket, is it going to be perhaps the strongest selling product of the year because it's the only rookie autograph that we're going to have access to for 12 months. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that
I
makes sense.
wonder if people is just going to, siphon their money out. Should Fanatics license their auto to Panini? No. I mean, that's like the Simpsons episode when the lawyer is imagining a world with no lawyers and everyone's dancing around the green
Yeah.
park with the flowers going around. Like it's never going to happen, like
No,
that's
it's not
too
how the world works.
unfortunately. James, it's a beautiful idea, and I think you know you're a kind basketball soul, but I think
Unfortunately.
in a million years that's not going to happen. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Matthew.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, Matthew Tabe. I believe that there should be more short print hits. Silvers and hollows should be harder to pull, and maybe chat about all the repacks lately. It's turned into a repack hobby at the moment. They're everywhere. All right, so let's break this down into two parts.
Yep.
Should there be more short print hits? I think he means should there be less short print hits. So I think he's saying that silvers and hollows should be harder to pull.
That's an interesting one
Because if
because
there's more of them, then they're easier to pull.
that's true. No. But what about if, remember when we talked about all the different variants
Yeah.
and how that dilutes the pool and allows more product to be made?
Yeah.
So if we have more that are short prints, then we don't need to produce more silvers because there are other short prints to replace that slot.
Oh, right. Okay, that's what he's saying. Okay.
Yeah, a bigger variety. I think that's where my head went with it. Yeah.
So my counter argument to that would be: have you watched any Prism hobby get open this year?
Nope.
Okay. I suggest you go on to any break page. You can go onto YouTube and just, literally just search for one.
Yep.
My argument would be you'll be very surprised how many numbered cards come out of each box. As a very small breaker, I am shocked to see how many numbered cards come out of it. So that leads me to think that actually there is many different variants present already.
Do you remember the days where it was numbered to 299, 199, 99, 49? You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden we have numbered to 25, numbered to 49, numbered to 75, numbered to 99, numbered to 125, 149.
Yeah. But
Do you know
remember
what I
when
mean?
I agree with you. What I'm going to say is we went through this not that long ago when I had my Monopoly flip out and we went through every single variant. There was 80 variants, wasn't there?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like
so
a rainbow used to be 8 cards.
I actually think that there is a lot of short print hits already.
Yeah.
So I probably would say I don't think we need more. I probably think, okay, let's calm down, guys. So if you want to say, fine, you want less silvers, I mean, that's okay with me.
Mm.
my I actually don't mind opening packets and getting silver. I have no problem with that. I actually think where they are somewhat limited is where it's a PSA 10 because the QC actually has been good this year. I feel I feel a bit dirty saying good and Panini in the same sentence, but it's been pretty good.
Doesn't feel natural.
Yeah, yeah. But, I wonder if, the flip side of that too is that, a lot of the stuff that comes out, does have surface issues, does have centering issues. So, yes, even though you're getting a holo out of it, it's not going to gem. So,
Yeah.
yeah. The second part of the question is about repacks. So, do I have a problem
Mm.
with repacks? This is actually a massive 360 for me because repacks is something I would never have touched 12 months ago.
Repack was a dirty word 12 months ago.
Yeah, but actually, I don't mind a repack now. So, the thing for me is about are you hopping into bed with someone who's reputable or not? And I think that's the real thing.
I also think that the term and the product have evolved. That would be my new thought on it. Because I think we spoke about this a while ago. When the word repack is used, I tend to think repacked bunch of like base crud and the odd crappy insert. Like that's like the old days of $1, $2 repacks is where it all started. People getting rid of the chaff. Nowadays, people put a lot of work into the repack products they're making.
Yeah, look, you can absolutely get a $2 repack. I'm sure you could find one out there, but I think the trend these days is more about tiered repacks. So what I mean
Yeah.
by that is $50, $100, $300. You can buy into $500 repacks these days. So
Yep. Yep.
look, I think
And there's
Card
value there.
Lab, Card Lab are leading the field in terms of repack by such a
Mhm.
long way. I actually think the game is over now. The other one to say is Cherry. Cherry's repacks always sell really, really well, irregardless
Yeah.
of what the feedback and the
Yeah. Yeah.
aftermath of it is. And then the other person really to mention now, I think in the repack space too, is David Johns and his repacks are us because
Yeah.
he basically has made a break page out of just doing repacks.
It's
And
crazy.
the argument can be so if you're going to spend $1,000 on okay, let me
Mm.
rephrase that. You're going to go out and buy $800 on singles, bundle it up into a repack, break it for $1,000, so you've still got a 20% margin. And I have no idea if this is what he's doing, by the way. I'm just like trying to, put it into like
Using arbitrary
layman's
numbers
terms.
to make
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But at least you're still getting $800 of cards out of it, right? You can very easily open up a hobby
Mm.
box and get, $25 worth of cards.
Yeah.
And that's the real, if you're making the argument between, why is a repack so much sweeter than a hobby box break? Well, then I think I've just summarized it for you into 2 sentences. So, do I think all repacks are bad? No, I don't. But look, the only thing, to answer your question specifically, Maddie, you just need to be very careful of who you're getting into bed with, because there's no vetting and
Mm.
there's no vetting of this process. And to steal your word, there's no regulation of it.
Yep. Yep. But it's good to see innovation.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that people are because of the stigma of the repack. People are you the ones producing the repacks need to be on point, need to be providing a quality product.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I'm saying to you,
Yeah,
because what you
that's why you
don't know
trust the
is,
ones that
yeah, because like, are they putting $50 of cards into it and then selling it for $1,000? There's absolutely, and look, even the good ones, and I'm not saying the good ones are doing this, but like, what is
No,
to stop them,
but you
right?
notice there are repacks there where you go, you know what? Oh, there's a name a player that wasn't doing well. Oh no, actually no. The highlight of your $200 premium repack is a Luca, and this is just me just having another stab. Maybe that's no longer the marquee card because the hobby's changed. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
these people need to put a lot of homework in, and I
Yeah,
think we're sort of denying them the credit they deserve for the research and the acquiring of singles
yeah,
that
sure.
goes into it for sure.
Yeah,
So,
sure. Yeah,
and
okay.
I think the evolution of this as a thing has been impressive.
Yeah, look, they've gotten a lot better, and just the fact that you can now go to a vending machine and get a repack out of it,
That is crazy good.
that's a long distance that we've traveled. So,
It
yeah.
is.
Dane Neville, in your opinion, why do you think basketball cards dominate the Australian market? In the US, baseball and football get mad love, but not here. Could it be the good numbers of Australian players in the league, past and present? Could it be the fact that you could buy NBA cards everywhere in the 90s? Would love to hear Adam and Russell's opinion on this one. Adam,
Shall I go first?
please.
Basketball is one of, if not, is just one of the most played sports at the junior level. It is as simple as that. And in this lovely age we live in, where film and where video is accessible, where we can watch our heroes play. I saw it a lot as a junior basketball coach, where every second kid's got a Steph Curry jersey on. Like, they watch the NBA. They're like, there's no barrier. It's not uncommon for basketball fans to be able to watch the NBA. And I think because it's such a big local sport, you can play American football in Australia, but every suburb has a basketball team. You'd be lucky to get a dozen like NFL teams in a state. You know what I mean? In Victoria, kind of thing.
Yeah, and yeah. So from a family perspective, my cousin actually plays NFL in Australia, or whatever the Australian. There actually is a league in Australia.
I know. I'm aware
And
there's a league.
there's an Australian team. Just a segue. Sorry about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep going. Yeah,
but on a scale,
yeah, of course.
Like, literally, and
there's no argument.
Like, the next sport along is soccer, because that's growing in Australia.
Yeah,
and it's, do you know what the funny thing is? Obviously, it's only here, but AFL cards are huge here. Like, people, like, the sports cards that are collected are relative to the sports that the children play, and there's a lot of kids out there that are playing basketball, like a lot of children that are playing basketball.
Yeah,
and we're not at that point where I'm going around to little Timmy's place because he's got ESPN. Like, I can just log in and watch YouTube highlights. I can get a league pass. I can go into KO and watch my games. Like, it is so accessible like in this day and age to see the sport. I think it's just a natural thing, because the collector side of it is there's just a sheer weight of numbers.
Yeah. So my answer to this is going to be at a little bit of a different perspective, because I'm actually thinking about what Dane said here, and I suppose I'm just trying to go back almost a little bit to the genesis. So the thing I'm a bit fixated on, could it be the fact that you could buy NBA cards everywhere in the 90s? And so if you think about, so what I'm thinking about now is, well, how did it get to that point? And why wasn't it baseball, or why wasn't it NFL? So I actually think it's a very deliberate thing by the NBA. I think they've gone to significant lengths to spread basketball all around the world. So spreading the game to China, spreading the game to Africa, spreading the game to Australia. So I almost wonder, in some ways, was it actually, part of their plan that in the 80s they spent a whole bunch of money in Australia to, get basketball courts up and running, and that's how it came to. And the fact that there was basketball cards, available at every store, because we've spoken about this, many different times, and that sort of stuff on scale doesn't happen by accident.
I suppose, no,
there must have been some strategy or some planning in that space that
there was no way that Upper Deck in the junk wax era were just going, we're going to ship these extra 200,000 boxes of cards. Australia looks like a good destination.
Yeah,
no.
Or maybe they did. Maybe they overprinted them and they had to do something with it, and they had to distribute them out, at less than cost price, maybe. I mean, who knows, like, what the truth was.
True.
And
I mean, I was
they're starting to see the benefits of that, I suppose, because, dudes like me that took their $2 a week and now spending
more than $2, $3 a week. You're spending $3 a week on a repack.
That's right, 50% increase they've made. Yeah,
that's I got into it because I played basketball. I played junior basketball. That's why, obviously, I'm looking at the side of it. Saw it as a coach. Saw it when I was in the hobby in the last when I got back in 2016, 15, 16. So I was really doing a lot of coaching at that point, a lot of junior basketball work. So getting into the hobby and seeing the correlation, every kid wanted a Steph Curry card. It's the one player I couldn't keep enough of. With like Kobe and LeBron behind that, but and Jordan, but Curry was all the rage.
Yeah.
When I was growing up playing basketball, it was Jordan, 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 and so I went around with a Pippen jersey
Yeah.
just to try and regulate the hobby.
Absolutely.
I was trying to regulate back in the 90s.
Keep these people on their toes, Ad.
That's it. That's it.
Matthew Hull, I have a question about the reliance on comps, not for prices, but as a gatekeeper to market increase.
I love it. I love the wording.
Some of these aren't really questions, are they? They're more leading.
Thoughts and feelings.
They're
Thoughts
more,
and feelings.
they're more statements. That's okay. We love
We
them
can
all.
find statements in the mailbag.
Meaning a lot of folks aim to get under comps. Sure, I do as well. However, if comps suggest that a card was and is on the rise, the seller, I believe, has the right to ask for comps or even above, similar to stocks and or financial markets. Just want to reiterate, I think comps on 130 point, eBay, market movers, etc. all valid and good predictors, but bartering and giving the seller some control versus buyers, dictating who is price gouging or asking too much. Happy to hear thoughts from the hobby. Love the show. Keep it up. Thank you, Matthew. We
You can go
love
first on this
all
one.
kind words on this. Okay, look, I am going to say a very unpopular opinion, Griffin, on this one. I actually agree with Matthew on this, and I think that if you're looking at if you're on Card Ladder, right, and the card has gone up 50% the last 3 months, you can keep like tracking that out and go, actually, I want another 20% above comps. I'm totally fine with that. That's the fantasy that's in my head, but the reality is, no one wants to pay 20% above comps. And so,
Well, I think we spoke about this when we the other week when we had Joe talking about us.
yeah,
He talks about that FOMO. Like he's like, I want the Shaq, and I will pay overs for it.
yeah.
It's a supply demand. So
On limited
at the heart
stuff,
of it,
you can do that absolutely. But so I think just to finish my answer, it's not a seller's market at the moment. It is a buyer's market. So he mentions here about, people are asking for too much and, saying that sellers are price gouging, whatever.
Yeah.
Buyers can say whatever the F they want to say at the moment and get a discount. And then the sellers
they can certainly try for it.
I think at the moment, sellers just have to suck it up and sell for less than what they are hoping for. I think that's just the reality at the moment. So
yeah, you're right. But being in a supply demand,
I actually agree with his point.
I also I'm on board with this.
Yeah.
The thing is, in a supply demand market,
yeah,
the more the problem is, right, the reason these comps like different indicators are referred to, and someone wants to pay less, is because there are sellers prepared to do that.
Yes.
As soon as the card is rare enough that only a select few sellers have it, the buyer can whinge all they want. They're not getting below comps unless the seller is desperate.
Yeah. So,
but this is also goes to
there is forever exceptions to the rule, and I'm just going to give you an example that probably supports my thing about like a buyer's market. So let's talk about the Luca 101 recently that sold for, what was the turnaround on that? Like minus
negative something crazy.
400,000, right?
Yeah.
And I think that illustrates your point and also my point at the same time. Like, if something's scarce, you can set your price. But man, at the moment, that's just not how the market is.
It's scary though. When you put a card to auction, that is that's crazy money we're talking. But yeah, you're right. I think the buyers, there's going to come a point, and the market does this. Like the hobby, it's happened through the years. Supply and demand. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And once it becomes a seller's market, you'll be going, look, I'm only prepared to pay 20% over comp. I'm not paying 30%. I'm only prepared to pay 20%.
Yeah.
I think you and that's where it's a different way of bartering, and I don't like it. I don't like the low ball sort of mentality, but I think
I mean, I think it depends a little bit though too on the low baller. Like if you're just doing that to like get the negotiating going, like that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But if that's your first and last offer and it comes with a snarky sort of reply, like, yeah,
Can,
that's
can I
uncalled for.
can I
Yeah.
go all old man on our listeners
Yes, of
and
course
just
you can,
say
lad.
it's just a communication style, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So
Yeah.
so as a somewhat grumpy, cynical old man, I am like, well, in my day, we used to negotiate by doing this. We never just went in and lowballed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm.
People in this the age of leet speak, like all internet talk, is this is my offer, and there's no sort of it's very sort of transactional, robotic. This is my best offer, take it or leave it.
Mm-mm.
Like there's no dancing with the person you're negotiating with. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
You want more dancing, is that what you're saying?
yeah. Well, I think that's what Matthew's kind of referring to, like the bargaining, the skill of the back and forth, the barter, the actual negotiation period, and we're in this efficient age where it's like this is what I'll pay. No, okay, next.
I think what he's trying to say is like you also need to factor in for like the trend of the market. So if it's going up, you can ask for a bit more.
Yeah, I'd
And
always
then
like I look at stuff like card ladder as well. If
yeah.
I'm going to talk, if I'm trying to sell a card, even if I really need the cash, I'm
Mm.
like, come on, man, nah, I'm not letting it go for that. The card's gone up sale after
Mm-mm.
sale for the last 3 months. I am not letting it go that low.
Go under, yeah. Why would you let it
Yeah,
go
yeah.
under?
Why
Yeah.
would I go?
Yeah.
Like it says, if I like, I'll put it to auction. Then, if you don't want to buy it right now, I'll put it to auction.
Yeah.
And the risk there is obviously if you put something to auction, A, you're giving the world another comp, but B, you're also putting your faith in the hobby to see what the real demand is for that card.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. The game has changed a little bit, and I do think there's I don't know, there's a communication element to it.
Yeah.
It's just styles.
Yep.
Like our love languages in trading cards have changed. We still love the hobby. We just communicate it differently.
I'm moving on. Andrew Suter here. If Fanatics called you tomorrow to design a flagship product for their first year, what would be your design? Factoring in collectability, pricing, and Fanatics' ability to produce all card companies through time. Pondering emoji. Yes, in this imaginary product, Fanatics has purchased all rights to Upper Deck, Panini, and so on. I'm not even going to let you open on this. I'm doing this one first.
Go on.
This is so easy for me. So I would just go straight to a flawless type product where it's
Yeah.
like Jordan patch autos, LeBron patch autos, Hakeem patch autos, and then you've got Wemby RPAs, Scoot Henderson, Ja Morant, everything. LaMelo, Scottie Pippen's in there, just like all of the big boys.
What's the product called? What's the design?
Look, I actually quite like flawless. I think if you're an old school guy, I'm going to bring up Paris's name here. He would probably say like exquisite. I reckon that would be the product, he would say. I've actually got, I'm so biased and I know that, but at the same time, I actually think flawless is a very good product. I really like their designs and the actual QC is pretty good on that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I'm going to say too, I'm just going to stick with this vein. I really hate Topps Chrome. So I would say I would just make another Prism product. So that will be what I would say, Prism plus flawless, but with all the big boys in it. Yeah.
I think if I was going to release a product, yeah, you're right. You put all the bells and whistles in. You have,
if you can do it, can you imagine? Yeah.
Like this is the creme de la creme.
Yeah, totes.
So I would call it Rushmore.
Okay.
As in Mount Rushmore, as in my just, you know what I mean? Like you've got it's the yeah.
So my only downside of that is then you're rebranding again.
Yeah.
And it's like
sometimes. So do you rehash an idea or do you make a new product?
So just let me hold that thought.
Do you make up a word?
So that super high end product that's in Panini.
What is the word ultimate being used yet?
What's that super high end product that's like $30K a box? I should know this off the top of my head. Anyway, let's not the truth get in the way of a good story. So I actually think the reason why that isn't that well received is because of the branding. Obviously, price is part of it. But I really think that part of it is also branding.
Yeah.
People just don't know what that brand is. And same as like the after sales of that, like the cards don't do anywhere near as well as what you would imagine that they would do. Like some of the cards out of that actually are very reachable in the aftermarket.
True. So what do? Do you do
I personally think you should keep the brand. That would be the only thing I would say.
yeah, but I think I think when you're saying you want flawless this, immaculate that, do you know what I mean? Like as far as it, I think it needs to be and the reason I was going with Rushmore is because
Yeah,
I
talk
meant
to me.
like the 4 biggest products they've ever released.
Yeah.
So it has the iMac this, the flawless that, the Prism.
Oh, so you're mixing products
Yeah,
in together. Oh, right. It's
make a
Eminence.
product.
Eminence is the
Eminence.
product. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think a flagship product like that is basically their big stamp on the hobby to go.
So
This is the ultimate product.
you think a mixed product. Okay. Sure.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. To just to launch to show that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Either that, or you don't even have to mix products. Just mix insert sets that have been popular over the years. Hell, bring Scoring Kings back
They
in
could
the
do that.
same.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
could do that.
Scoring Kings, Kaboom, RPAs. Like you're like,
So you
what
want
is
like
this?
a high-end
Yeah,
Chronicles, is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
High-end
Yeah.
Chronicles. So
I feel
it
like
could be
High
called
End Chronicles is a good description, not a good
it could be
name.
called Chronicles, and then in background it says High-end Chronicles.
Golden Chronicles. Chronicles Plus?
Paul Riley, opinion on unnumbered case hits. Surely they'd hold better value if they were numbered, as it would be low. Thoughts?
Agreed. I think the fact that there's not numbering on case hits makes it harder to determine how rare the card is.
Mm.
Simple in a nutshell. Yeah.
And we now have a current comp on that, being that the number to 10 kabooms, and they have absolutely skyrocketed. Like they are, in some instances, 5 to 6 times higher than, I'm using, again, air quotations, the base kaboom. So,
Base kabooms.
yeah. So, I think actually my problem with this, though, is that it's a two-edged sword, because on one way, because you don't know, you're like, well, they could be numbered to 10. They could be numbered to 25. But on the flip side is, well, then, because you don't know, they're more traded on the value of each card, and that depends on the aesthetics of the card, the release of the card, and of course the player of the card. Whereas perhaps if they were numbered to say 25, which is probably what
It depends on the case. It depends on the product, I think.
So I believe kabooms are somewhere between 25 and 40. That's my gut feeling, looking at PSA registries, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I've got no evidence to support that at all.
Yeah.
So the question is, would they sell better if they were numbered to 40? Probably not, to be honest.
No.
I think the mystique is probably greater.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Aaron Price, is the hobby actually stronger than it's ever been in terms of community and the platforms it uses to connect each other? I see a lot of unsold sales posts. Probably well over 80% is unsold, and heaps of super trades going on at the moment. I personally trade more now than I ever have, building the communities through Facebook, eBay. Collectors, traders have better platforms than ever to safely do trades across the globe, and certainly wasn't happening a heap pre-20. I think he means pre-2020.
2020, yeah.
I believe the community is far stronger and better off than, say, Ozcard Trader Days.
Yep.
I think it is a relevant question considering all the people currently complaining about the death of the hobby, when in reality it's just a bit of sour grapes for most of who invested poorly and got caught out on the social media scam driven by hobby influencers. Yeah.
Well, are we considered hobby influencers? We have influence.
Well,
I'd like to think we have influence.
If you are asking me, I don't think we're influencers per se, because we like to talk about the hobby. Well, this is my perception of me. We try to talk about it objectively and present different ideas, as opposed to like old mate who was pumping up Darren Fox silver PSA 10s.
I thought you were going to have a crack at sports card investor, but not straight into Gary V. There we go.
I mean, like Gary V,
Fair. I get it.
The only thing that Gary V did was line his own back pocket. Like, you can't sugarcoat that in any other way, right? And I think that's more what Aaron is referring to there in terms of,
Yeah.
when people.
No. Look, the sports card investors, the guys at Golden, the Gary V's of the world. I was making
I mean,
a
Golden's
light
is
of
a
the
real
fact that
funny one, right? Because he still opens product.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
he's just a
And he
very
still
yeah.
collects and he still buys and sells, but his vested interest is his own platform. Like,
Sure,
yeah.
of course.
Anyway, let's get back to
Um,
the question. We've segued, right? So
yeah.
I think the crux of the question is there's a bunch of people on who are complaining that the hobby's dead. And actually, is that not true?
I think people just trying to think of the best way to word this. I don't think the hobby's dead at all.
No.
I think the opportunity to make money hand over fist, which is the perception that all of these, and we'll call them sports card investors, thought was how the hobby worked. It doesn't happen like that. The hobby is a hobby, not a business. There are business elements, but it's a hobby at its roots. And we are now back at the grassroots where people are forming communities, where people are trading amongst to get the cards they want for their collection. Like the hobby element is thriving
Yeah.
because the day traders are gone. The day traders have sold up, closed up shop, and said, "Nah, this is too volatile for my liking. It's now a buyer's market. I don't want to be in here unless it's a seller's market." And the wolves have sort of dissipated. Like, I mean, obviously there are still people that trade volume and sell volume and whatnot.
Yeah,
But I'm
definitely.
saying I suppose the wolves or the sharks have they're not shark infested waters anymore.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of hobby strong, and I mean hobby strong, like people that are passionate about their cards. Every trade has a story behind it. There's communities forming, as we've talked. It's actually in a really beautiful place.
Yep.
And I'm sure there is still money to be made, but that's not what it's about at this point. It's about connecting with people with similar interests and sharing a passion for something we're sort of like minded about.
Yep.
And I think that's a really healthy place for the hobby to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this whole the hobby is dead is coming from people that saw the dollars and cents side of the hobby rather than the community aspect. And I think
Yeah.
the communities are getting stronger, which is great.
Look, I think you know my answer to this already before we start because I've been making a mockery of these people who have been saying the hobby's dead as many times as I can within episodes without
Yep.
making too big of a point about it. And I think
Yep.
the easiest example of that is when we talk about cards selling for, let's just say, more than $10,000. You cannot tell me a hobby is dead if every single day, day in and day out, cards are selling for more than 10K per. Like that to me, that's a disconnect. All right. So
Yep.
I think that's so I've answered that. That's done, right? Then the next part in Aaron's question is about the platforms that people are using. So,
Yeah.
we had this huge influx of people coming in
Yeah.
and part of what happened was during COVID was everything went online. So Facebook groups have, got a massive push. Instagram, there's, heaps of stuff on Twitter. There's a lot of hobby related content.
Yeah.
And I think the other one that you can't go past now too is sort of like the next like theme that's emerging is now WhatsApp groups. And then the
Yeah.
other one I think you also can't turn away from is Telegram because the thing with Telegram is that it is 100% unvetted. So
Ooh.
there's no filter, there's no nothing on that. So I think that's probably, the next frontier perhaps of where card collecting could go into.
Yeah.
Then the other one we haven't mentioned yet, and this is the obvious one, is all the trade days. So
Yeah.
Melbourne Card Fair are having the problem of their events are completely sold out with all the vendors, and then they're upgrading their facilities,
Yeah.
and then they're selling early bird tickets, and they sell morning tickets and afternoon tickets. And the reason they're doing that is they're trying to spread out people so there's not too many people in the space at the same time. Hobby Hangout, who sponsored our show for a number of episodes, around their Hobby
Mhm.
Hangout days, the criticism around those shows was there was too many people jammed into a space.
Yeah.
despite the fact that the hobby's dead, right?
Oh, look, for a dead hobby, there's a lot of people attending card fairs.
There's a lot of zombies walking around. And so,
That's it.
I really do think that the other part that Aaron spoke about that's really important is trading cards, because you do get to a point where you've got lots and lots of cards and you
Yeah.
probably are better off trading than selling them, just because of how it is, very much a buyer's market at the moment. And then we speak of another friend of the show, which is Raymond who's invested heavily into his Veriswap program and
Yeah.
how he's trying to facilitate a safe and effective way for people to trade cards. So I think that, again, that's probably maybe not the next frontier, but, somewhere else where people who are, quite deep into the hobby can, venture in even further. So, and his final point about people, being scammed by people, Card Porn did a post on this on July the 19th. A lot of the Boomtime grifters seem to have left the hobby in recent months. Investor Card Eddie, Sasha T, and others seem to have disappeared in a puff of smoke. Is this good or bad for the hobby? Well, I think the answer is, for hobbyists,
Yeah.
it's a really good thing, because
Yep.
you are
Agreed.
now
Agreed.
with people who are maybe more like-minded, and that bit that was being skimmed off the top as, profit margin, you could make the argument that's now returning back to the hobby. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Look, if you're asking my personal opinion, I can tell you my cash is going a lot further these days. It goes further in breaks, it goes further in singles, and it goes a
Yeah.
lot further in boxes. So,
Yep.
yeah. Andrew Dean, for decades, a math puzzle has stumped the smartest mathematicians in the world. X to the 3 plus Y to the 3 plus Z to the 3 equals K, with K being all the numbers from 1 to 100. Can you sort this out, please? This is not a question. This is also a statement that's been twisted into a question.
I think Andrew is trying to figure out how many numbered cards there are out there.
How many people have completed the Prism Rainbow?
Yes. And look, I feel like the maths question is changing every year.
And K is that number, yeah.
Yep. Yes. But yes. Oh, boy. Maybe that needs to go into Panini. They need to answer that.
Paris Downey, I would like to hear more about how the 90s were the pinnacle of not just being the most epic period to collect, and with so many historic and iconic sets, but also to be an NBA fan. It was just magic. So many Hall of Fame players all over the shop balling out, and it was just fun to be a fan. The late 90s slogan of "Love this game" was never truer. This is not a question. I'm not answering this. I'm not even going to indulge it. I say we just end the show. Just
Paris.
like
Seriously.
Sopranos. We just cut it out, just
That's
go
it.
black,
It's
bang.
done.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Wait, I was going to say, he actually asked the question after you say it's not a question. That's so good.
There's no texty backsies. And you only get to ask one question, Paris. So the second question you did ask doesn't get
That makes it a first question, though.
Doesn't get asked or answered.
Actually, no, that's a statement. Oh, that was, yeah, all right, put a question mark. Oh, Paris, stop playing games with us. I agree. Pack odds should be back. Anyway, the Codex boys, just
get to listen to them. They're doing some good stuff too.
They're doing some great stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the show.
I think we're done.
Fun. Yeah,
we made it through a mailbag. That was an epic mailbag.
That was epic.
And anyone that mailbag that you saw on the image can be purchased.
Yeah, good plug, Ad.
Yeah, I thought I'd just get out there, get your mailbag, and then head down to the EJ's card day and get yourself some epic repacks.
Yeah, we answered every question that was asked.
Yes, we may not have answered all the statements, but that's not the point. We'll address them at a later point in time.
All righty, guys, take care.
Thanks, everyone.